Hello, today we will learn about non-linear dynamics of membrane. As we have seen, like the non-linear properties of excitable membranes are distinctly manifested in the generation of propagation of the nerve impulse. Now, if we continue this, we will see for an instant observed oscillation of electrical potential is very thin in a polyelectrolyte bilayer membrane. Okay, the bilayer membrane consists of a polyacid, a polybase, and thus it has three zones. Okay, now as you can see this in the periodic changes. The oscillation of the electrical potentials, as I told you, in a polyelectrolyte bilayer membrane will be like this. We will take the current through the membrane consisting of a movement of cation through the zone A, and we will take the, as we know, in 1955 toral membrane oscillator consisted of two cells filled with an electrolyte of the different concentration and separated by a porous glass membrane containing bound negative charges. When a direct current is passed, a potential difference is created on the two sides. Okay, as you see, this is the toral membrane. Two cells are there, and in that it is filled with an electrolyte of different kind. As I told you, because of the presence of negative charges in the membrane, the electrolyte it's in its port carries mainly cation. Now you see this diagram. It is a diagram of a polyelectrolyte membrane. Okay, now as you can see in this, the battery. Okay, you can see this diagram, and in this you can see there are three zones: negative zone A, positively charged zone B, and a neutral zone which is in between. Okay, now if you see a 0.1 molar solution of NaCl is taken between these two rods of sodium and between the calcium zones. So now this is the neutral zone, as this will balance the positive and negative charges. When a negative potential was applied, periodic impulses spikes were observed on the side of polybase, and at certain critical value of certain critical value of current, there were observed undamped oscillation which persisted for, like as you can see in this neutral zone. The increase of osmotic pressure leads to the appearance of flux of solvent in the membrane and to an increase in the hydrostatic pressure in it. At the same time, the increase of the salt concentration caused the polyelectrolyte molecules to compress, which also increased the pressure. When this increase exceeds the osmotic pressure, the solvent flux changes its sign and the salt concentration inside the membrane increase even more. The concentration arises and the salt leaves the membrane and flows out. After the membrane attains a maximum contraction, you can from this we can drive this formula. As you can see, this is a auto oscillatory theory which has been developed by Torrell, like J-chem. J-chem is the flux which is equals to V d minus d chem to the raised to the power s by dt, which is equals to KES, where S is the concentration, E is that of enzyme, K is the rate constant. Suppose that there is a critical substrate concentration. Okay, now there is a critical state, so the dependence J-chem is presented because the cooperativity of J-chem undergoes a transition similar to the phase transition. So the substrate which was there enters the system by way of diffusion through the membrane at the rate of J diffusion is equals to d diffusion to the power s by dt, which is equals to a s naught minus s. S is the concentration and s is the source. Yes, as you can see, this S naught is the concentration and S is the source, which is practically constant. And so this is what actually non-linear system is. And in it was actually mathematical model was also given by Hodgkin-Huxley equations, and a huge whole lot of equations were derived by that. Later, Eco Klein has an N shape in which eta and phi plane, which provides the generation of impulse. Now we will discuss about the next topic. Our next topic, Autowave process in the cardiac muscle. Now, when we know, what do you remember about cardiac muscle? Muscles are like tissue which are excitable membrane medium, and a tissue in an excitable medium. The excitation imposed by a network of the nerve induces mechanochemical process. Okay, imposed. So the process taking place in excitable media are therefore the greatest importance for physiology, in particular for the physiology of cardiac muscle. The concept of excitable medium as a medium in which the propagation of the nerve impulse occurs through damping at the expense of energy stored in cell was introduced by Wiener and Sandberg. Now we will see about, as you can see this equation, lambda is equals to VTR. V is the velocity of propagation and T is the refractory period. TR is the refractory period. So now we will the circulation of the excitation wave which will be carried out in the heart. We will see that the reverberator is also possible, which will also directly link to the reverberator, and it is possible in a continuous medium with non-uniform refractory period. If an impulse is sent to a certain ring-shaped region, as you can see, we know the heart contracts like this, and from the blood first goes in the from the atrium, from vena cava and aorta enters in the atrium, then to the ventricular, and then it travels to the body or to the lungs. You can see here how the blood travels. Now if we take this is the circulation of the blood which we know. Now if an impulse is sent to a certain ring-shaped region of the medium, it will not circulate, since the excitation wave propagating in a clockwise or an counterclockwise direction will meet and cancel each other. But if the refractive period is not same everywhere, the circulation will arise due to the transformation of the rhythm. Now, if we discuss more about heart, this is how you can see how the heart takes contraction and flow of blood and the circulation takes. Now you are seeing this diagram in front of you. Now this is a reverberator in a homogeneous medium. You need to understand this. Reverberators may also serve as a source of high frequency waves which cause the appearance of new reverberators. In other words, the multiplication of reverberators is possible in an homogeneous medium. Reverberators send waves. Okay, now TR, what is TR? TR is the flux time, reverberatory time. In a homogeneous medium, the period of the wave originated from a reverberator is equal to TR, and the reverberator exists for an indefinitely long period of time if it arises at the boundary between the two regions with different reverberatory time. Its lifetime is finite, and in homogeneous, it is in the wave wave sources, leading centers, or an echo. In several impulses are transmitted to a fiber, and lifetime is shorter and greater. Refractory period. New impulses appear on the inhomogeneities which are running along the fiber, and it only some time later the resting state sets in. The impulses that will how it will appear in the inhomogeneous which are running along the fiber. As you can see the another diagram, transformation, it is about the transformation of two-dimensional inhomogeneous medium, and it will show how a distribution of refractive period TR1 and TR2 and a break means excitation waves propagation in a clockwise. It will explain it all. So now you can see the 2D transformation of a rhythm in this. In considering the Belousov-Zhabotinsky reaction, we encounter two types of wave source: leading center echo, which generate concentric waves, and reverberator, rotating spiral waves. The formation and subsequent multiplication of reverberators play a very important role. Like as you can see here, TR2 refractive period TR1 and tau R2 is greater than tau R1. As you can see here by the surface area present, the smaller square and the bigger square. Okay, now if we go further, you see that the A1, you can see in the diagram the A2 and the A1, the displace there. As I explained earlier in the diagram, you can see the reverberatory frequencies which are caused. Okay, the reverberatory will cancel out each other. Okay, they will cancel out each other, and by that we can see that the wave A1 and B cancel each other out, and the wave A2 travels to the right half plane in the form of a semicircle and then therefore bypassing its refractory trail. So it runs to the left half plane and the path is closed. There is formed a reverberator in homogeneous medium, the period of wave. As you can see in this diagram, the A1 cancels the B, and therefore you can see the semicircle reverberator. Two regions with different tau refractive periods, its lifetime is finite and shorter. You can see that the greater is the inhomogeneity, the reverberators may also serve as source of high frequency wave which cause the appearance of new reverberator. In other words, the multiplication of reverberator is possible in an inhomogeneous medium. Reverberators send wave of different frequency and do not synchronize. Thank you. That's all for today.